Hi, my name is Ben Fielder. This is my final project, the video portion for my Educational Leadership 590, Advising Student Organizations. As I go throughout this project, I will be outlining the 8-month action plan that I have for the organization, which is His House Christian Fellowship. I started off using Tuckman's group dynamic theory, which builds upon the principles of forming, storming, norming, performing, and later a fifth, which was added, which was adjourning. I first want to start off with, I broke up the 8-month phases into 2-month increments to begin with. The first phase is the forming phase. As Tuckman describes, this is really the area where you begin to develop lots of those relationships. For His House Christian Fellowship, to give a specific example, I broke it up as into a prior example, so possibly prior to August, which August would be month 1, you would meet with your executive board as the advisor, and your executive board would be made up of past students that had been involved with His House Christian Fellowship, and now we're at an executive leadership position within that organization. So step 1 might be a mini retreat or a mini time to gather those executive board members together to begin to discuss what the vision is for the next year, what your purpose is as His House Christian Fellowship, and then begin to meet and discuss how you plan to establish your goals and that vision which you're going to review and that purpose which you're going to review. It's also really important as an advisor that you explain where you're coming from as an advisor, what your role is going to be as an advisor. As the advisor for His House Christian Fellowship, I would make it very, very important emphasis to tell the students that I really envision this being a student organization that they are leading and that they are in charge of. I feel that the most important part in that phase is me as an advisor to be there to have the history that they may need. If I've been an advisor for this organization for a pretty long time beforehand or prior to that, I may know a little bit about the history of the organization, be able to bring that to them. To many of these students, even the students on the executive board, they may have only been involved with this organization for 2, 3, maybe 4 years at that point, so having the history knowledge is a big part. As you move into the forming stage, one of the big parts, so you would start off in August, and it's really your big opportunity to make an impression. So for instance, for His House Christian Fellowship, what you would probably start off with is in a picnic or some kind of an event that is going to reach out to the new students on campus. Your executive board have talked about this and discussed this during the summertime or prior to August, and now is the time to really reach out and start making that impression on those new students so you can begin to explain to them what is His House Christian Fellowship, what is our vision, what is our purpose, what are our goals, and how can you be a part of those. So perhaps the picnic is what starts that. Your executive board in the meantime, at the same time, is also working on their responsibilities within the exec board. Perhaps one of your exec board positions is the person that may be in charge of the large group programming, and so they're in charge of making sure there's speakers present for each of the programs. So each of the executive board members is going to have roles that you're going to kind of oversee and make sure that they understand fully their roles that they're doing as the group progresses. Also, this is a huge phase during the forming stage that your new students are going to begin asking questions. They're new to the campus, they're new to the university, and they're also new to finding out about this organization. So they may have questions that range from, why does this organization exist? How can I play a part? But also they may have general questions about the university. Why are all these student organizations here? Why should I be involved in student organization? What benefit does that have to me? So you as an advisor have to be ready to be prepared with questions that are going to range in many different ways at that point. When you look and review the ACPA manual, there's different aspects different aspects that the advisor will take on throughout Tuckman's different phases. During the forming stage, I think that you might have the aspect of being a real team builder at that time. You may be a mentor to the executive leadership team because you're becoming pretty close with them. If you're working with them just in a small group setting prior to August, then you're going to get to know them on a more personal level at that time. You're also going to be a real motivator for those students. So your job is going to be to motivate the executive board members, but also to motivate them to the reasoning why they need to be ready for August and when it comes around, and how important that first impression is for many of these students as they first come to the university.